Daphne's parents came to Los Angeles. Ridge realized that he was Daphne's biological father. Los Angeles was sunny in the afternoon. It is a city that has a lot of glamour. Also a lot of secrets that people do not know about. The building of Forrester Creations had glass walls that showed the city, but they also showed the history of the people who worked there. There was a lot of love, a lot of betrayal, and a lot of secrets that people kept hidden. On this day something big was going to happen. A secret that had been hidden for 20 years was going to come out. The secret of Forrester Creations was going to be revealed. It was going to change everything. Los Angeles and Forrester Creations were in for a surprise. Ridge Forrester was by himself in the design room looking at a drawing that was stuck to the wall. His jaw got tight. His eyes looked far away. Lately Ridge Forrester had been feeling really weird. He had this feeling that he just could not get rid of. It was with him all the time. Ridge Forrester knew it was not because of Brooke. It was not because of Taylor either. It was something that went deeper. Something inside Ridge Forrester was not settled. The door opened softly. It was the door that made this sound when it opened. The door did not make a noise, it opened very softly. Ridge, Brooke Logan said in a warm voice, but you could tell she was also worried about him. You have been looking at that design for 10 whole minutes, Brooke Logan pointed out to Ridge. Ridge let out a breath. Rubbed his temples. I do not know what it is, Brooke. I just feel like something is not right. It is like the weather is changing and a storm is coming or something is heading our way, Brooke. I just have this feeling that the Ridge is waiting for something to happen. It is making me feel really uneasy, Brooke. Brooke smiled gently, stepping closer. In this family, Brooke said, something is always coming up, something new is always on the way. That is just how life is for the family. Before Ridge could say anything, the elevator doors opened up. The receptionist's voice was loud in the hallway. Mr. Forrester, we have visitors who want to see you. They say they need to talk to Mr. Forrester about something. Ridge frowned. He said, did they give a name for the person? Yes. Jonathan and Margaret Lewis. The name hit Ridge. It was like something he knew a long time ago. It was familiar. He had not thought about it in a very long time. Brooke saw that his face changed when he heard the name. She looked at me. Said, do you know those people? Ridge said that he knew someone with that name a long time ago. That last name is really familiar to Ridge. He knew someone with that name years ago, a lifetime ago. Daphne's arrival. Daphne Lewis was standing near the entrance of Forrester Creations. She was frozen in place. Her heart was beating fast. Daphne Lewis had thought about this moment a lot. Nothing could have prepared Daphne Lewis for how she was feeling now. Daphne Lewis was feeling a lot of emotions. Los Angeles was a city that Daphne Lewis did not know well. Los Angeles made Daphne Lewis think about her past. There were a lot of things that Daphne Lewis did not know about her past. Los Angeles was like a mystery to Daphne Lewis. Her parents stood next. To her their hands were tightly clasped together. Margaret looked at her daughter. Said, are you sure about this? In a soft voice. She was really worried about what would happen. Once they say something like that, the family of Margaret and her daughter will be different. Everything changes for Margaret and her daughter. Daphne swallowed hard. I need to know the truth, Mom. I have needed the truth about my life for long as I can remember. Jonathan nodded seriously. Then it is time. A while later Ridge walked into the reception area and then he just stopped. He did not move or do anything. Ridge just stood there in the reception area. The man's eyes were fixed on Daphne. He could not look away from Daphne. Daphne was all he could see. Something inside the man shifted. He felt this change happen. It was like nothing he had felt before. The man was not really sure what was going on with him. Something inside the man had definitely shifted. The air got really thick and heavy. It felt like something was weighing it down. The air just grew heavy. Daphne felt it too. The man who was standing in front of her seemed familiar. She did not know why the man felt this way to her. He really did. The man standing before Daphne felt painfully familiar. Ridge Forrester, Jonathan said slowly. I want to say thank you for taking the time to see us, Ridge Forrester. Ridge's voice was tight. He said, you told me this was something that involved you. Margaret stepped forward. Her eyes were shiny with tears. She said, it is. Margaret was talking about the thing that Margaret was thinking about. Margaret said, it is, and that was all Margaret needed to say about it. Brooke felt that things were getting really intense, so she got up and left the room. She did not go very far. She stood around the corner where she could not be seen. Brooke was very curious about what was going on. She really wanted to know what was happening. The curiosity was burning inside of Brooke. Ridge pointed to the conference room. He said, "Let us talk." A secret from the past. Daphne sat down. Then it was quiet between them. She looked at her hands because she was scared to look up at the person. Daphne did not want to see the look on their face, so she just kept staring at her hands. Jonathan cleared his throat. "Ridge, we did not come here to mess up your life. The truth about Ridge's situation is something that needs to be talked about, and the truth has a way of demanding to be heard. So we have to tell Ridge what is going on." Ridge leaned back, looked at them carefully. He said, "You used to know me, Ridge, a time ago." Then he asked, "Did you not know Ridge?" Margaret nodded slowly. "Yes. This happened years ago when Margaret was young and Margaret was very much in love." Ridge's memory started to wake up. He thought about the nights they had spent together. There was a lot of laughter. He remembered a woman that he really loved. Then life took him somewhere else. Ridge thought about this woman because he had cared for her much before that happened. Ridge said that you just vanished, and he said it softly. Margaret's voice was shaking. She said, "I was pregnant, and that is why she felt that way." Margaret was really upset because Margaret was pregnant. The words landed like a thunderclap. It was really loud. It surprised everyone. The words were like a noise that came out of nowhere. The words just landed like a thunderclap. It was very shocking. Ridge sat forward fast. "What?" Daphne looked up at last. Her eyes met his eyes. They just stayed that way. Daphne's eyes were locked onto his eyes. Margaret went on. "I tried to find you with me," she said. "You had already left Paris by the time I looked for you. Your family, your life, everything was happening quickly." Ridge shook his head. He said, "Why did you not tell me about this sooner? I mean, why did Ridge not know about it until now?" Jonathan spoke gently. He said, "Margaret was not sure about things. Then a lot of years went by. I ended up marrying Margaret. I took care of Daphne like she was my daughter, Margaret's daughter Daphne." Daphne's voice shook a lot. She said, "But I always knew that something was not right, that something was missing from my life." Ridge really looked at her. He noticed the shape of her eyes. He saw the way she held herself. Ridge looked at the shape of her eyes, the way she stood. He said, "Oh my God," quietly. The DNA test. Days later, Ridge sat by himself at his desk holding this envelope. The things that were written inside this envelope could change everything for Ridge. Then Brooke came into the room quietly. "The teacher said that you got the test back." She said it quietly. Ridge nodded. "I did not want to believe it." Brooke reached for his hand. She said, "Whatever it says, we will face it together." Brooke wanted to make sure that he knew Brooke was there for him. Brooke was going to stand by him no what. Ridge opened the envelope. He wanted to see what was inside the envelope. The envelope was not very big, so Ridge was curious about what the envelope had in it. Ridge looked at the envelope again before he pulled out what was inside the envelope. Positive. 99.9% probability. Ridge Forrester was Daphne Lewis's biological father. His breath caught in his throat. He said, "She is my daughter." Brooke's eyes got all teary. She said, "Ridge." The man said that he had a child out there. His voice started to shake when he said this. He really never knew that he had a child. Father and daughter. Daphne was at the beach that evening. She stood near the water. Ridge came up to Daphne. He approached Daphne when she was standing there by the water at the beach. The man said that he got the results. He said this quietly. She turned around, looked at him, searching his face. And what was he going to say? Then she just said it out loud. "Ridge said this to me. He told me that they confirm what my heart already knew. Then he said something that really surprised me. He said, 'I am your father.'" Ridge said that he is my father. Tears streamed down Daphne's face. She said, "I have waited my life to hear those words from you." Ridge stepped closer to her. He was not really sure what to do. Then he gently pulled the woman into his arms. Ridge was being very careful with the woman. He said that he was really sorry he was not there. Now he is there. If they will let him be there. He wants to be with them. Daphne nodded through her tears. She said, "I want that, I really do. I want you to be in my life, to be a part of it, to be with me." Fallout at Forrester. So Steffi and Thomas found out what was really going on. This was a deal. The news really upset them. Steffi and Thomas had reactions when they learned the truth. They were very angry and surprised. Steffi and Thomas could not believe what they had just learned. Steffi said, "You have another daughter?" She was really surprised. This comes out of nowhere. Thomas was really quiet. You could tell he was still very upset. He said, "This is going to change the way our family works, the family dynamic." Rich stood firm. He said, "Daphne is my family, my blood. That is not going to change. Daphne is my blood. That is a fact." Taylor felt a lot of emotions. She felt pain. She also felt like she understood what was going on. Taylor was trying to accept things. Taylor was dealing with all of these emotions at the time. Pain and understanding and acceptance. "I wish you had found out sooner," she said to Ridge. "This really matters to you, I can tell." A new chapter. At Forrester Creations, Daphne was offered a position that was of uncertain, but she was really careful, and she had some hope that things would work out. Daphne thought that Forrester Creations was a place to be, and she was excited about the position at Forrester Creations. Daphne said to Ridge that she does not want any treatment. "He said to me, 'You will not get it.'" He then said, "I just want honesty." The father and daughter stood side by side. The sun was setting over Los Angeles. This made everything look pretty. The future of the father and daughter looked uncertain. The father and daughter also thought that the future could be good for them. The father and daughter felt that anything was possible for the father and daughter. Because on the bold and the beautiful, the past never stays buried forever. And family is destiny. 4 days after the DNA results were confirmed, Rich Forrester did not sleep much. He would lie awake at night thinking about the thing over and over. The thought that he had a daughter he never got to raise would not leave him alone. Daphne Lewis was no longer a name to him. She was a person made of flesh and blood, and that blood was his. This new truth made Rich Forrester feel guilty. It was a feeling that he could not ignore no matter how hard he tried. The guilt was so strong that it cut through him, and that was saying something because Rich Forrester was a man who was known for being tough and not letting things get to him. Rich Forrester felt guilty about Daphne Lewis, his daughter, and he did not know how to deal with it. The air at the Forrester mansion was really tense. It felt like a big storm cloud was just sitting there. It would not go away. The Forrester mansion had this feeling like the storm cloud was stuck right over the Forrester mansion. Steffi walked back and forth in the living room. She had her arms crossed over her chest. Thomas was sitting near her. He was staring at nothing. His jaw was tight. Steffi was clearly upset. Thomas was upset too. He just sat there not saying a word, his eyes fixed on something away. Steffi kept pacing. She could not stand still. Her arms were still crossed tightly over her chest. Thomas did not move. He just kept staring, his jaw clenched. "So let me get this straight," Steffi said finally. Her voice was full of disbelief. Her dad shows up one day, tells them that he has another daughter, a grown daughter, and this daughter now works at Forrester Creations. Steffi was talking about her dad, and this new sister of hers, a sister who works at Forrester Creations, and Steffi just could not believe it. Her dad and this new daughter of his who works at Forrester Creations were really something Steffi was trying to understand. Rich stood across from Steffi trying to remain calm. He said to Steffi, "I did not plan this, Steffi." "No, but you are accepting this quickly," she said back to him. "Do you have any idea what this situation does to our family?" Thomas let out a sigh. Steffi is right. We have spent our lives trying to get our dad to notice us. Now Daphne comes along. Suddenly she is the favorite? Steffi and I have been fighting for our dad's attention for long. Now Daphne just walks in. She gets to be the one our dad cares about the most. It does not seem fair that Daphne gets treatment when Steffi and I have been waiting for our dad's attention for our entire lives. Ridge's voice got really tough. "This is not a contest where people compete against each other," Ridge said, talking about the situation with Ridge. Steffi laughed with a lot of sadness in her voice. She said, "This family is really something. Everything we do is a competition between us. Daphne is trying to figure out where she belongs. The question is, does she really find her place? Daphne is still looking for something that feels like home to Daphne." At Forrester Creations, Daphne stood at the edge of the design room. She saw all the designers and interns and executives running around. They all seemed to know what they were doing. Daphne felt like she did not belong there. She was trying to feel confident, but it was not really her confidence, it was like she was wearing someone's confidence. Katie Logan walked up to her, gave her a really warm smile. She asked if she was feeling nervous because it was her day. Daphne nodded. She said, "Is it really that obvious to everyone?" Katie laughed softly. "Trust me, every single Forrester has felt that way at some point in their life, like every other Forrester before them. Every Forrester has had those feelings. It is something that every Forrester goes through." "Even Ridge?" Daphne asked. Katie stopped talking for a moment. She said, "Especially Ridge." Daphne smiled a little. She felt better. She was still not sure about things. She did not come to Los Angeles to cause trouble for people. Daphne only wanted to know the truth. Every place she looked, Daphne saw people talking quietly, looking at her out of the corner of their eyes and judging her. The woman heard two interns talking quietly to each other. They were standing near her. The two interns were saying something in voices. "That is her," one person whispered quietly. "She is the daughter of Ridge." The other person said, "Must be nice," in a voice. They were talking about having a family and getting instant power. It sounds like they are a little jealous of the family and the power that comes with it. The idea of a family and instant power is really something that the other person wishes they had for themselves. Daphne's shoulders became really stiff all of a sudden. She does not feel powerful. The woman feels like she is not in control of things. She feels weak. That is a really bad feeling for her. The feeling of not being powerful is something that the woman is dealing with now. She felt really exposed. It was a very uncomfortable feeling for her. The woman felt exposed. Brooke's fear. That evening, Brooke Logan was by herself in Ridge's office looking at a picture of her family, in a frame. Then Ridge came into the room quietly. He said that, in a quiet voice, "You are still here." Brooke turned around. She made herself smile. She said, "I was waiting for Brooke to get here for you to arrive." Ridge closed the door behind him. "You are worried," he said to her. Ridge looked at her. Said, "You are really worried about something, are you not? You are worried about what is going on." Ridge wanted to know what was bothering her, what was making her so worried. Ridge thought to himself that she was definitely worried. Brooke did not deny it. She said, "I am trying to understand where this leaves Brooke and the other people involved." Ridge walked up to her. He said, "Daphne does not change how I feel about you. But she changes everything," Brooke said. She was being really honest. "Your past, that is one thing. Your priorities, that is another thing. Then there is your legacy, the things you will be remembered for. She changes all of those things, your past and your priorities and your legacy." Ridge sighed. "I missed my chance to be her father one time. I will not make that mistake again with my daughter." Brooke nodded. You could still see the fear in her eyes. She had been around long enough to know that new kids can bring up hurts and old feelings for people she loved. Taylor and Margaret. Women connected by Ridge. In another part of Los Angeles, Taylor Hayes was sitting across from Margaret Lewis at a cafe. Taylor Hayes and Margaret Lewis looked at each other carefully. Taylor said that she and the other person have both really loved Ridge. Taylor spoke in a soft and gentle voice when she said that. She was talking about Ridge. How much they both care about him. Margaret smiled sadly. She said, "Yes, that is true. Somehow our children are the ones who are paying the price for that." Taylor took a sip of her coffee. "I do not resent Daphne," all Taylor said about Daphne. Margaret said, "I do not expect you to. I really worry about her. The family she is getting into has a long memory and they can be very mean to people." Taylor nodded like she understood what was going on. The Forresters do not give up easily. The Forresters are like that. STEFFY versus Daphne. The first confrontation. The thing that everyone was worried about happened a lot than people thought it would. The confrontation that everyone feared came sooner than expected. Daphne was looking at some fabric samples when STEFFY walked into the design office without saying anything. STEFFY just came in. Daphne was still checking the fabric samples. STEFFY was now in the design office with Daphne. STEFFY said this in a calm tone. "You are getting used to being." Daphne looked up. "I am trying to." STEFFY folded her arms. "Let us be clear about something. You may be my dad's daughter, but that does not make you a Forrester. Being a Forrester is not about biology, it is about being part of the Forrester family." Daphne got up slowly. "I never said that." Daphne did. STEFFY said this to someone in a way. You have the name on you, Steffi said. You work here at this place. When you work here, people expect things from you like the name you are wearing. The name you have, it comes with things that people think you should do. Daphne looked at her.